So, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Colbert's show has been canceled. And if you're somebody like me, you ask, well, why wasn't it canceled years ago? Late night comedy has been a disaster for a very long time. It has been irrelevant. When you hear about how much these people are getting paid, it is eye-watering. How can people that produce so little generate so much? Well, the left, of course, because these are far-left acolytes, they believe it's Trump's fault. They think it's Trump's fault. It's not the fact that even though the Colbert Show's ratings were up a little bit, it wasn't a good return on investment. It wasn't a show that was generating the type of views and the type of capital that it once did. No. It's because Paramount was in some kind of deal with Donald Trump. And so this was part of Trump's deal. The art of the deal, look, we could give this to you, but you got to get rid of Colbert. No, these late night show hosts are going by the wayside. Joy Reid was fired. Colbert is fired. Jimmy Kimmel is soon likely to be fired. The reality is that these late night talk show hosts went so far to the left. They went so radical, so unhinged, so deranged that nobody wants anything to do with them. They're a laughingstock. And the thing is, all of these people came from a background which says that they should know better. Jimmy Kimmel, you may not remember, he came from The Man Show with Adam Carolla. You remember that show? Yeah, that show was pretty funny. I'm not saying it was the best show online. I'm not trying to blow smoke up his ass, but it was at least a humorous, entertaining show. But everyone has a reason why it's Trump's fault that Colbert got fired. Not putting any blame on Colbert himself. The poor ratings of the show, despite the fact that it was up a little bit, the show still got pretty poor ratings. And the fact of the matter is that if you're getting like 2 million views a video for the amount of money that they're paying him, that's just shocking. Because you could be a content creator like Asmongold that just basically turns on his camera, turns on a microphone, sits in front of a camera and talks about the news and generates millions of more impressions and views than Colbert did on his best day. So I think this is pretty open and shut. Now, someone came out of nowhere to give, honestly, I think a pretty good take on this. And that is Dave Portnoy. Now, I don't know where Dave Portnoy came from, but yeah, his original post on this was that it takes a special type of arrogance to be making 16 million, losing 40 million, and publicly bash the people paying the bills. Yeah, so Colbert was criticizing CBS, the parent company, because they did a payout with Trump. Now, why did they do a payout with Trump? Well, because CBS, I think, committed a crime with their 60 Minutes interview where they actually tried to defraud the American people into thinking that Kamala Harris was coherent by editing her answers in order to make her responses seem more cogent. Yeah, Joe Rogan's talked about that. I've talked about that. Asmongold's talked about that. Everyone's talked about that. 60 Minutes did something pretty despicable because they backed Kamala Harris, and that should be an in-kind political contribution. And honestly, I think that Trump should have gone forward with that. I think they should have gone way harder on CBS. 16 million doesn't seem like enough money for what they tried to do, which was to defraud the American people. I think he should have gone harder. But Colbert's thing is, well, they sold out to Trump. And I mean, Colbert was going on this rant against CBS because they paid him out. And the thing is, the thing that makes it even worse is Colbert defamed Trump and the trial in the middle of that tantrum, and if Trump had wanted to, he could have sued CBS again. Yeah, I mean, this guy is a fucking imbecile. So it makes perfect sense why they would choose to get rid of him. Why they would choose to not want to keep this guy around. It makes perfect sense to me why they wouldn't just simply be like, oh, okay, Colbert. All right, that's fine. Yeah, disparage our company, put us at further liability. Yeah, no, it's great. And you're losing us money, and you're not really the return on investment that you used to be. No, sure. Yeah, hey, you know what? Do whatever you want to do. Well, now, Colbert's going to go to the garbage bin of history, because there may be another brand that wants to take on Colbert, but he's irrelevant. And his rhetoric is, at this point, it's demented. It's deranged. He's a far-left radical. Anyway, let's listen to Portnoy real quick.
I got to do a real quick rant on Stephen Colbert being fired on CBS Late Show. Everyone's still talking about it. But before we do that, I want a moment for this backdrop as I film this, all right? Because it's that spectacular. Let the color adjust, but a moment for the backdrop, please. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care, Mamdani. I don't care, Bernie. Being rich still is the best fucking thing, and I earned it. Anyways, on to this rant. So I run a media company, obviously, Barstool. So this kind of hit home with me. I'm seeing like Bernie Sanders, Comrade Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, all being like, we need an investigation. This is bribery. This is blackmail. CBS only fired Colbert because he criticizes Trump, and they just settled a $16 million lawsuit. And then Colbert went on the air and said he doesn't trust CBS and blah, 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 blah. Like Trump forced this. And then the stats start coming out. Colbert makes $16 million a year. The Late Show with Colbert loses $40 to $50 million a year. They have a staff of 200 people. Late night ratings are down across the board. He's still got the best ratings of like him, Kimmel, and Fallon, but across the board, they're down. So all these shows presumably getting...
Imagine the sheer fucking hubris and audacity to look at this failing media brand that's losing you $40 to $50 million a year. And you are currently, let's say you're Paramount, all right, you own CBS. You're looking to secure this very, 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 very lucrative deal, all right? Now, Trump isn't going to go out and be like, this deal's canceled, I've said so. No, I don't think that's going to happen, because Trump, despite what they say about him, is ever the pragmatist. The only thing that it's going to do is put CBS in a worse position so that Paramount can't negotiate as well. So Trump will be able to extract more. I think that ultimately is Trump's art of the deal. I don't think that if it were lucrative for the American people, or for the government, or for him personally, or anything, I think if there was some benefit for him, he would absolutely go through with it, because he is a pragmatist. He is somebody that's like, oh, I'm not going to nuke this deal because my feelings were hurt. The only reason he'd nuke the deal is if he thought it was a bad deal. But Stephen Colbert going out and defaming Trump, and that's exactly what he did by mischaracterizing the lawsuit. The reason why Trump was settled with is because he had a legitimate, valid case. Stephen Colbert said, oh, the case had no merit, it was invalid, and he goes on and he defames Trump. And Trump is right now suing the Wall Street Journal because they published this, the so-called letter that they have still yet to produce, by the way. I want them to produce the letter. If it's true that Trump wrote this letter, yeah, it's weird. Doesn't mean that Trump is a kid diddler, by the way. That's not what that means. It just means that it's yet another piece of evidence that we can use moving forward to make the picture more complete. However, if Wall Street Journal is lying about this, if they're misrepresenting this, if the source that they got this from is tainted and this is something that's AI generated or something, we can use that as information too to basically reaffirm what we knew about the fake news media, that they are some of the most salacious, disgusting, and disreputable people on the planet. But he makes a good point here. You're losing a fortune on the Colbert Show. It's not bringing in what it used to. And yet, the gall to be like, I'm going to try to interrupt this deal with Paramount, which is going to be worth a lot of money to them, which probably is what they would have used to subsidize Colbert. But I mean, the fucking goal, you're basically on welfare. You are the WNBA of content creators. You cannot sustain yourself. It is outrageous. You are Stephen Colbert, you are the WNBA of content creators. You can't sustain yourself. Your show costs way more than you bring in. Way more. You lose a fucking fortune. And yet you have the gall to go out there and think you're speaking truth to power by interrupting a deal between Paramount and the Trump administration. They're trying to work this thing out, and you're going to go out there. This is one of the most lucrative deals that Paramount probably has ever been in. It's insane the amount of money that they could get with this deal. But Colbert is, well, I'm going to put principle first. No, you never put principle first. That's not what you did. That's not what you've ever done. You were personally bitter and butthurt because Kamala Harris lost, and even though you and your Democrat cohorts, you tried to cheat to win again, it failed. You tried to defraud the American people. And you're bitter about it that it didn't work.
Hammered. Now, I'm old enough where, like, late night means something to me. My dad has every episode of David Letterman on, like, VH1. So when I got invited to go on Fallon this week, like, my parents came, and they were impressed. And they're impressed by it.
By the way, my parents do not watch modern late night. Do you know what they do? They watch reruns from old late night. They watch Johnny Carson. Yeah, the other night I was like, what are you guys watching? They're like, oh, we're watching Johnny Carson. Yeah, I was talking to my mom on the phone and she's like, so yeah, we're watching Johnny Carson. They have on Don Rickles. I'm like, well, what year was that? I mean, so they're not watching modern late night. They're watching the classics. And the thing is, I've watched some of Johnny Carson, and he's really talented. He's really funny. He's good at what he does. But it's like these modern late night hosts today are not even in the same league. It's a different sport that they're playing. These guys are fucking amateurs. The amateurs. These people don't know what the hell they're doing.
Nothing. I told them, like, you guys have never cared I've been on anything. I've been on Rogan's podcast, Theo Vaughn, Alex Cooper, Shannon Sharp, all podcasts that are far more influential, reach way more people than late night at this day and age. But for these people, including like Colbert, to be like, this isn't really right, that we're blindsided, buddy, you're losing $40 million a year. You have 200 people creating one show. We have 200 people at Barstool, content creators, creating like 30 shows. And some of them, the bigger ones, draw a bigger audience than Colbert. So like, what are we talking about? And then you compound that with Colbert openly going on air, being like, I don't trust CBS. This relationship can never be repaired. I can't believe they bowed or paid that lawsuit to Trump. If one of my employees, who I was paying $16 million a year while losing $40 million a year, went on their show and was like, I don't like Dave. I don't trust Dave. You know what I would do? Like, welcome to the real fucking world. Yeah, Trump's happy, and this isn't about his politics. I don't love Colbert. I don't think he's funny. I thought he was funny when he was on Comedy Central. I haven't liked him on his Daily Show. But, buddy, you're losing $40 million a year, and then you have the arrogance to go hammer your own company. What did you think was going to happen? Of course they'd fire. I'd fire you in a fucking heartbeat. That's not politics. That's just being ungrateful and see you later. So Elizabeth Warren, Comrade Bernie, like, zip it. This is called capitalism in the real world. You're losing $40 million a year. You better shut up and be a good soldier and thank your lucky stars you still have a job.
He's right. I may not like Dave Portnoy, but he's absolutely 100% right. Who here, listening to this, if they were the owner of a company and they were losing, let's say it's not 40 million. Let's say it's 10 million. All right? You're paying a guy $16 million. Let's say it's not 40. Let's say it's 10 million. Let's say it's 5 million. You're losing $5 million on this guy's show every year. All right? You're losing $5 million every year. And this guy comes out and goes, God, can you believe my boss? He's such an asshole. You know, he bent the knee to Trump. He opened his asshole, showed him his chocolate starfish. Basically just presented and took it up the tailpipe from Donald Trump. And that's because this defamation lawsuit that, they settled on, it was really because Trump was guilty and he did this and this and, you would fire that person no matter who it is. No matter who it is, you would fire them. Because not only are you now losing money, you're losing the potential for this new lucrative deal that you're working on, which is going to generate you the amount of money that this deal that they're working on, Paramount, is, the amount of money that it could potentially generate is 1,000 Stephen Colberts. Like, the amount of money that it could generate and the influence that it could generate is so much more significant, and yet Colbert is going to meddle with that because he gets his feelings hurt because they settled with Trump rightfully? It's outrageous. Dave Portnoy is absolutely correct. Imagine the gall and the audacity to sit there and make that sort of case. That you think that you have a right to go out there and try to interrupt the business deal, defame one of the people that you're trying to do business with, and at the same time, talk about a defamation lawsuit that you lost and accuse the guy of doing the thing that you were being sued for in the first place. That's oh God, that's a disaster. But ladies and gentlemen, I think it's important to call this stuff out and identify it for what it is. I mean, these people are so entitled. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, oh, this is blackmail, it's the oligarchy, it's the oligarchy, and Pocahontas going, oh. Yeah, you want to talk about fraud, Pocahontas? The woman who pretended to be Native American to get all these opportunities. You stole opportunities from actual Native Americans. Like, if you want to know my opinion, Elizabeth Warren should be in prison. Absolutely. 100%. She should 100% be in prison. There's no question about that. You defrauded people. You stole money from these companies and from these from these institutions because you pretended to be Native American. You stole opportunities from people. You should be in jail. Elizabeth Warren is such a piece of shit. It's unreal. Ladies and gentlemen, this story's crazy. It seems pretty open and shut to me. They were losing money. This guy was a derelict employee. He was somebody that couldn't be relied upon and trusted. And yeah, did I mention he was losing them a fortune? And his ratings were up a little bit, but they were down overall big time. Huge. This guy is not even able to generate the amount of views and the amount of attention that somebody like Tectone gets on a daily basis. Now, Tectone isn't getting paid $16 million a year and then losing 40 million. Like, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching my content, for allowing me to speak my mind. It doesn't cost me $16 million to run this channel. I don't run this channel at a loss. But I do appreciate all of you who choose to financially support me, because that's how I get my support. I don't take sponsorship deals. And believe it or not, I don't really ever talk about this, but I do get emails all the time from people who see my numbers. They see my analytics. They know that I get upwards of probably 350,000 views a month. They do it in spans of like 28 days. So like basically a month, which, for the big content creators is nothing, but for me is huge. But yeah, I get pretty decent views. I've had people that have gone for sponsorships, and I've turned every one of them down, because unless it's a brand that I would really, 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 really stand behind, I would much rather build my channel a brick at a time, like I always have, and let you guys choose. If you want to support the channel, become a member, and that'll financially support the channel. That's my choice to make. I've had people like, "Hey, do you want to support our VPN?" And I'm like, no, no, I really fucking don't. I really don't. I really don't want to do anything where I have to sell a product or service to my audience at all. So yeah, I've turned down an eye-watering amount of money from people that wanted me to do sponsorships and stuff, but it's not what I'm ever about. I'm more interested in all of you. Each person who watches my content won't always be free, but if you think that my content is worth watching and supporting, then you can make the choice to become a member. You get a month's service. All of your messages get floated to the top, and YouTube notifies me, like, hey, one of the members that actually paid had something to say. You might want to check it out. I mean, it's a pay-to-win mechanic, but I didn't set it up. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much. The support has been overwhelming. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.